Joining us now, Congressman Webster. Good to have you with us, sir.
Hey, great to be on.
Okay, we just had on Friday your colleague, North Carolina Congressman from our area that we cover, Walter Jones, on our show, gave you a ringing endorsement. So let's start out, Congressman. Why are you running for Speaker?
I am running for Speaker because I have a problem with the way the House of Representatives operates. It's a power-based system where a few people at the top of a pyramid of power make all the decisions, and then it sort of trickles down to the rank-and-file members. I had that same problem in Florida when I was in the minority, and when I got to the majority, I changed all that and made what I consider the best decision as far as how a House should be run. It should be principle-based and member-driven. If you take that pyramid of power, press it down, spread it out, every member gets an opportunity to participate. If you don't, we're going to end up with the same old power-based system. Our numbers are still going to be at 11 or 12% approval. In Florida, when we did that, our numbers, which were no better than the Congress's initially, flipped right side up. We took up the most important issues first. We held the others till the end, much different than the way it works. We did not push against any deadlines. We did not force the members to vote the day of a government shutdown or whatever. We turned everything around and said we're going to do our business. We're going to do it early. We're going to include every member. That's the problem. That's the solution.
Now, Congressman Webster, on Sunday, oddly enough, on Fox News, your colleague from Utah, Jason Chaffetz, he threw his hat in the ring. What separates yourself from Mr. Chaffetz?
Well, my problem is not with personalities. My problem is the way the House operates. And there's only one person in the race that's actually changed the operation from a power-based to a principle-based legislative body like I did in Florida. And I have not heard anybody until now start talking about the fact that it's not the personalities, it's the process by which we make laws. We have shut out all this talent, including Walter Jones and others, who have sort of been at the bottom of the pyramid like myself, and let a group of people make all the decisions. And what happens that is it sort of maintains its power. It wants to maintain its power. It thrives on the power. And I will tell you, far better to operate a House where everyone gets to participate. And we have these fully vetted issues, and we take up the issues. We finish the appropriation bills. We finish all the reauthorizations. We take up many member bills, and we send them to the Senate. To me, that's the way to get the upper hand. Do it early and do it often.
I just got a question. Michael from Virginia Beach says, what are you going to do differently if you were to get in and do what you just said? How would that translate into standing up to President Obama on things like amnesty and Planned Parenthood and other stuff? Put your concept into action.
We empower the Senate. We empower the President when we push these our decisions back to the very last end, the deadline. The President has a lot of power when a day before we're running out of money or running out of a appropriation or running out of authorization for a program. He has a lot of power to say, you're going to shut this program down, you're going to shut down government or whatever. That doesn't exist if you take up the most important issues first, that you get them done early. That message is not the same message, and that leverage is not the same leverage when it happens 5 months before the deadline. It is a lot of leverage for not only him, but also the Senate. When you only do it, you kind of look at your watch and say, whoops, about a day away from government shutting down, maybe we should do something. Then a power-based system comes up with one answer, and one answer only, a continuing resolution or some other stopgap or patch method. And what I'm telling you is, and I know it works because we did it, and we had no deadlines, we had no night meetings, we didn't push against any deadlines, we finished appropriations early, and in the end, the Senate and the governor, I had a Democrat governor when I was doing this, and they fell in line.
And put it into play in this last round of budget negotiations. We got another continuing resolution. We had a couple of congressmen from Virginia on our show that said really the whole process that Tom Price worked through on the Appropriations Committee ended up being a waste of time. It never got to the floor. Nobody voted on it. And then we're at a last-minute deadline. So if there was a Speaker Webster, what would have happened?
We would have begun the appropriation process early. We passed some of those bills. There's 12 appropriation bills. We passed some, and then we quit. To me, we start and we make that our full concentration. We have to get these bills out of the House. That's doing our duty. And we do it early on. We meet, we have the appropriation, we give them extra time. We have even just days of just committee meetings, marking up, sending those bills to the floor. And then, once they've all passed, and we send it all down to the House, Senate, then so does the responsibility go down to the Senate. We begin saying, we're not doing CRs. We're not doing CRs. We're not doing CRs. You give us, either pass our bill or give us your position. We'll negotiate and we'll get it done far before the deadline. There's power in the deadline, but it's not with the rank and file members, it's with other people, and we need to get rid of that and empower the membership by doing these bills up front.
Now, Congressman Webster, walk us through the voting process, right? We understand that this is ostensibly going to be decided on Thursday, October the 8th, and the current majority leader, Kevin McCarthy, who was the favorite right now, needs 218 to be ostensibly elected speaker. How does how does he become short of 218? And if he does, what happens?
Well, what will happen is there's three people, and so there'll probably be one round of votes. And if no one gets enough for the majority, then there'll be another vote with the lowest one eliminated, and then that would produce a winner, but maybe not the 218 votes. It may not. If that takes place, normally there would be a strong pressure to acquiesce to the person that from the person that lost to the person that won, and normally that's the case. That would be up in the air because there have been a group of people who have said, we're not going to live with that, and we want to go. If we go to the floor, we're going to nominate our own person. So there's the second vote. Will be on the floor of the House of Representatives. The Constitution says that we should elect a speaker, and that's with the full House, the Democrats and Republicans together. And then, in that case, if someone didn't get the 218, there'd be a whole lot of bumping and pushing, and I'm not sure what would happen. We'll see. There'd be a search for a consensus candidate, whatever.
So we're with Congressman Daniel Webster, one of three candidates running for House Speaker, along with Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy from California, and now Utah four-term Congressman Jason Chaffetz to announce his candidacy on Fox News Sunday, of all things. Let's get to back to what you said. So there's a secret ballot on Thursday, right? Secret ballot. No one knows who's putting whose name down. And if in that secret ballot somebody is tallying them up, if the front runner, Kevin McCarthy, gets under 218, then it would go to a second ballot, or it would just go to the floor?
In that particular case, it'll be just under the majority of the majority, which would be, I guess, around 124 votes.
Right.
If you got less than that, then there would be a runoff between the two top vote getters. And then there would be a winner, but it may be a winner that has less than 218.
Got it.
And then that would, who knows what would happen there. They would go to the floor. There's a possibility that people would not support the Republican, quote, nominee. And if there's less than 218 votes on the floor of the House, that's when there's going to be a lot of discussion.
Chaos, if you will, right? But a good chaos, not a bad chaos, right? Sometimes chaos is a good thing.
It'll be organized.
Organized chaos. All right, now there's a couple other movements in the House I want to get your opinion on. Both of them intriguing to me. Number one is there's a number of your colleagues saying, wait a minute, why are we voting on Thursday for majority leader when the current majority leader is still the majority leader? He's not speaker. Why don't we wait and see if he's going to be the speaker before we vote for majority leader and then for whip and everything else? How do you stand on that?
Well, I think, yes, we should take this in a step-by-step process. The other, so there's a group that says, we should wait, and that might be a pretty good-sized group. There's also a group that says those who are running for a higher office, whether it be moving from a current one forward, then all those people should resign to run. The problem with that is, I guess, this we'll kind of see. It may be if I win, no one loses their position. Nothing changes. If I don't win, then there'll be a lot of dominoes falling. And so I think there's still a lot of interesting things about that. There's going to probably be a rule proposed, a caucus rule or a conference rule that would make you resign before you can run for a different office of leadership. All that's undecided.
But, Congressman, that wouldn't mean that you have to resign from your committee chairmanship or something else. That's just with leadership within your own House.
No, I think they're only
right?
talking about elected positions.
Right.
So if you are, let's say you're elected as the conference vice chair and you decided to run for majority leader, then you'd have to resign that first elected position to get the other one. But I don't think the other ones are somewhat appointed by a committee, so that would be different.
Right. So
I think they're talking about just where there's an open position for an elected conference position.
Majority Whip Steve Scalise from Louisiana, if he says, okay, I'm going to run for majority leader, then he would have to resign his position as whip in order to run for leader, right?
Yes, but that would take an amendment to the conference rules in order for that to take place. Right now, they don't have to resign.
I don't see that happening. So I think the bigger opportunity, I know that Speaker Boehner is looking at the request to delay the voting for majority leader and for whip and et cetera until after the speaker's thing is resolved. Do you think that has a better chance of actually happening?
I do. Yes, I do. And there's a good possibility that could take place.
Okay, right now, based on your own math, obviously you're talking to people, you have some backers now. Based on your own math right now, between yourself and Congressman Chavez, are you able to keep majority leader under that magic number of 218?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't know quite the answer to that because there are a lot of people who are uncommitted in this race, and they're going to listen to us. We're going to have some forums. Looking forward to those to present my case about how I want to change the way the House operates. That's going to be happening in numerous groups, maybe even before the full conference, before it's all said and done. So I think those things are happening, and as it gets closer to Thursday, people will be making up their minds.
Congressman, I want to get off leadership for a second, and while I've got you on, what is your position right now on Russia's move into Syria?
Well, I think Putin has, we drew a bunch of lines in the sand when it came to Crimea and did nothing about it, and so he kept stepping over it, and then it gets down to the leader of that country coming over and just begging us to help him out, Poroshenko. And so here we are again. And if we don't back up what we have to say, then it's going to go on deaf ears. He's going to take as much as he possibly can. He's a rough guy, and he's a shrewd political operative who has been able to parlay a few weaknesses in our messaging to basically run over everyone else.
Well, Congressman, you don't get to be head of the old KGB in the USSR without having some political savvy, right?
True. And he waited. He's been quiet. He was quiet for a long time, in a sense, and in some ways even trying to build a little bit of friendship. But once we gave him that little crease, he took it, and he hasn't turned back.
All right, I've got 1 more minute. I want to get to Syrian refugees. The Obama administration off the bat saying, let's take 10,000 of them in. Some of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle saying, well, we need to take 200,000 in. Many Americans look at this. They don't have jobs. They're underemployed. They're not getting a fair wage. They're getting middle-class people being screwed. They're looking at young, healthy males from the Middle East trying to come to the United States. As Speaker, what would your position be on this?
Well, my concern is even deeper than that. Who are these people, and what are these people? They may be fine people, but they also may have terrorists mixed in, and most of the intelligence and other people who have spoken who are experts in this area say it's a for sure thing, that we're going to end up getting some people that we don't want to get. And so just to make this blanket statement, let's take 200,000 is irresponsible. We've got to have fully vetted opportunities. I think we should be a refuge, in a sense, for those who are escaping tyranny and religious persecution, other things. But we can't just open wholesale our doors to people not knowing anything about them. I think that we've got to vet people coming to this country. That's what our whole immigration policy is about. That's where there's a backlog, because we look at everyone coming in, making sure they're not going to do us harm but good. And I think it's wrong.
Okay, that's going to be the final word. We want to thank Congressman Daniel Webster for being with us, Republican Congressman, Florida 10th District.